If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone and computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more other outlets. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
The following broadcast is brought to you by JK Entertainment and MSR Production.
Welcome to The Question. I'm your host, Kolb, and this is episode 2. Last time we had Little Bear on, and we talked about team selection. And as you know, this cycle's wrapping up pretty quick, so team selection is going to be a huge part of Madden coming up here shortly. But today we have something new. We're going to talk about defense. In particular, we're going to talk about the differences between the 3-4 and the 4-3 base defenses. And today we are very lucky to have Joey Vowels, recent runner-up in the MSR Super Bowl. Hey, Joey, how you doing, man?
Kolb, how you doing tonight? Thanks for having me.
Doing all right. Just got done with some dinner. Got the kids quiet for a little bit, hopefully, and we'll get this thing knocked out. So, Joey, you've been around for a long time. Not everybody knows everything about you. Where exactly are you from?
I actually live in Davie, Florida, which would be about 15, 20 minutes west of Fort Lauderdale. Bueno, the MSR, is actually kind of sort of a neighbor. He lives about 10, 15 minutes from me. And then I don't know if you guys remember Cuba, who was in the MSR Cuba for a while. He doesn't live that far from me as well. So we're all kind of in that South Florida area.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I always pegged you northeast. Did you maybe live there before, or?
Yeah, I was born in Brooklyn, New York. All my family's in New York and New Jersey. I go there all the time. My wife's from Connecticut, but I call South Florida home now.
Well, hey, Florida's not a bad place to call home, I don't think.
Oh, it's pretty nice down here.
So, if I remember correctly, you're a Jets fan. Is that right?
Yes, it's growing up, I wasn't a huge NFL fan. I was more into college football, baseball, even basketball. Because when I was growing up, in the 90s, we got our butts kicked. But the Knicks were a really good team. Patrick Ewing, Jaron Starks, Anthony Mason, all those guys. So I was a big Knicks fan. Always been a baseball fan. I played baseball my whole life. Yankees fan. Hockey as well. Rangers won the Stanley Cup in 95, I think. And then I just kind of looked at, I started to get into football. I kind of looked at it like, it kind of makes sense, right? Like I'm a Rangers, I'm from New York. I'm a Rangers, Yankees, Knicks, and I got to pick a New York team. At the time, I don't know why. I'm not going to say I'm not a Giants fan, right? Because if the Giants are playing, I'm rooting for the Giants.
Absolutely, I hear you. I'm in Indiana, so as long as the Colts aren't playing the Niners, I'm all about it.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just kind of picked the Jets. And then college football, I'm a Notre Dame fan. It was my dream always to go to Notre Dame growing up, and it just, honestly, I never even applied. One of those regrets in life.
I hear you. I didn't apply either. I'm a Notre Dame fan too, obviously, Joe Montana. So
I'm a big Notre Dame fan. I love him. Historic number 3. Any great quarterback at Notre Dame should wear number 3. I think it's one of those things where if they tout you to be the next one, you should be wearing number 3.
I hear you all the way. So we know that you just recently played in the Super Bowl, and man, I thought you were going to win that one from the beginning. What other accomplishments have you had in the MSR?
So in Madden 19, I did make a Genesis Super Bowl. I lost to Broadway Shane Falco, who is no longer with us. Madden, I haven't had much success in Madden 20. Madden 19, I won the AFC South every year. season 1, I went 15-1. I haven't really had that many. I mean, really outside of the Super Bowl last year and the Genesis Super Bowl, I've just been an average to above average player, and one of those guys that can win but never manages to.
I hear you. That's a lot better than me. I haven't sniffed playoffs all season, or all cycle, or last cycle, I don't think. So I got to figure out how to play this game. So hopefully this podcast will actually help me learn how to actually win some games once in a while. So let's get down to the brass tacks here. So in football terms, in real football terms, what exactly is the difference between the 3-4 and the 4-3?
Oh, for me, I look at 4-3 and 3-4 as a personnel thing. Right? In the NFL in 2020, I would expect most NFL teams to run some type of hybrid, because nowadays the 3-4 the 3-4 outside linebacker, a 4-3 defensive end are very interchangeable, which is why you hear a lot of guys in this league and across the Madden community say, I wish they just had an edge position. Not so much outside linebacker or not so much D end. So I think that we're seeing this more hybrid player where you've got like the Jadeveon Clowney, who is a 4-3 D end, but is a 3-4 outside linebacker. We got other guys like, I would imagine like a Chase Young. He's a 4-3 D end, but I could totally see him standing up. Ryan Kerrigan, another guy who plays outside linebacker, where he could be a 4-3 D end. I think it really depends, Madden specifically, right, the type of personnel you have. I look at my base defense, 3-4 or 4-3. I want my edge guys to have block shed. I don't care if they're small, they're not strong. I think it's important to have block shed on the edge because so many people like to take it outside. And the best way to stop an outside run is to get penetration around the edge. So I think it's important that you have, Madden at least, you don't settle into a comfort of, I'm always going to run 3-4 or I'm always going to run 4-3. But my goal with defensive ends and outside linebackers is block shed. I think that's the most important attribute, because the reality is most people in Madden don't throw the ball out of running formations, don't run the ball out of throwing formations. So when you're in 3-4 or 4-3, I'm going to bet 90% of the time it's a run. So you don't have to worry about the coverage. You don't have to worry about catching, right? So if you've got an outside linebacker that's high block shed, but he's an idiot in the pass, who cares? And it doesn't matter. You're not going to play him in nickel, I am in dollar. So I really build my team based on how I feel I'm going to play against in those formations.
Okay. So I guess typically that outside edge guy in the 3-4 is a standing up linebacker opposed to the down lineman in a 4-3. Does either of those actually make a difference on whether or not they're going to block shed better or not?
So Sonny's a great, one of the guys that really likes to like dive deep into statistics, and I'm kind of the same way. What people don't realize is block shed only affects running, does not affect your ability to rush the passer. Or power move, your finesse move is what affects your ability to rush the passer. So that's why you've got a guy like Joey Bosa, who at launch, I want to say had a block shed of like 70, something really low, but can still rush the passer. So if your concern is containing the run and you want to make sure you have the block shed, whether they're standing up or hand in the ground, it doesn't matter. So it's also about the type of speed you have on your team, right? It's that lateral. So pursuit is another big one that comes to whether you're going to run 3-4 or 4-3. So pursuit is the intelligence or the angles that player is going to take the ball. So if you have guys with low pursuit, you're not going to take good angles. And we know pursuit angles in Madden are very broken. If you're going to put a guy out there, if you're going to put a guy out there with low pursuit, you're going to get beat. It's plain and simple because the pursuit angles are so bad. So again, when you're in that base defense, the linebackers have to have good pursuit as well. So not only should your outside linebackers in a 3-4 or 4-3 have good block shed, they should also have good pursuit. And I think the big thing is if you're going to run 4-3, you got to have two defensive tackles. You can't just roll out with 190 overall defensive tackle and then like a 72 next to him. So you're not going to be able to stop the run up the middle at all, which most guys in this game don't do, which I think is a completely lost art. So it's kind, like I said, it's kind of interchangeable. Like I have a guy who could play D end or outside linebacker. So in 3-4, he's my outside linebacker. And then in pass rush situations, is my D end.
All right. So when choosing what type of defense you want to go with, is it basically just based on the defensive tackle then? If you have two great defensive tackles, you want to stay in a 4-3 more often than not against the running plays? Is that what the determination is?
I can tell you I have two really good D tackles right now, and when I'm in 34, so Jerry Tillery, he's an 85 now, he's getting older, but he's still a really good defensive tackle. And then I have Cantrell, who has abilities at defensive tackle. In 34, I move Cantrell to D end, Tillery to defensive tackle, because they have the best block shed on my line to go with Joey Bosa. In 4-3, I leave them in the middle. And then what I do is I put my best block shed linebacker over at the weakest D end. So I've got Bosa at one end, I've got Tillery and Cantrell, and I have like an 79 or like an 80, 81 overall defensive end. No abilities, not great. He gets the job done. But what I do is I put that linebacker, the higher block shed and pursuit, on his side of the field. That way, if somebody's going to run at him, I know I've got somebody behind him, whether it's in 4-3, I can make a play. It's really important to analyze your personnel beyond just who has the highest overall. And so I try to get really strategic and granular with where I put guys on the field, which I think is what separates my ability on defense from most people. I don't think you just put the best guy out there all the time. Obviously, if it's a significant drop, right, you're not going to take a 90 off the field for an 82, right? But you got to make sure you're putting people in the right position to be successful.
Absolutely. And I'll be honest with you right now, you're blowing my mind with this because, like, I just put what guy I think works there. I have no idea. I mean, that's probably the reason why I get no pass rush and people run all over me all day is because I'm not looking at what guy I have where and why.
I mean, pass rush is a little different. I mean, we all know that without abilities, you don't get a pass rush. That's the sad part. Like, I have a guy who's got like 91 or 92 finesse move, but no abilities, and I'm lucky to get like 4 sacks out of him for the year. That's with 2 other guys with abilities who are usually getting double teamed, or he just, so pass rush is one of those things where in Madden 20, you got to have abilities. But when it comes to stopping the run, you don't need abilities. I mean, I haven't had a single Jefferson is my first linebacker. I think that was over 80 overall. I drafted him as a rookie. He ended up having abilities. He's like an 82. The rest of the cycle, every linebacker I've had under 80. Okay. And I've only had one player with abilities on my defensive line, and it's Bosa. What I do is I target specific attributes based on what I want. So like I said, 90% of the league, if not more, both Genesis and MSR, are not passing the ball out of I form, long I form tight. Maybe they'll do a play action or something, the play action crossers, or, single back ace. When you've got 2 running backs and a tight end, 2 tight ends and a running back, 3 tight ends and a running back, 90% of the time they're running the ball. I'm putting guys on the field have high block shed and high pursuit. And if that's a 73 overall, and obviously he's not slower than dirt, if he's got, 83 to 85 speed, right, so he could at least make a play, but he's got high pursuit, high block shed, he's playing at 73 overall. Right now, my starting outside linebacker is a 74. Second middle linebacker in 3-4 is a 70. Then I have Jefferson's an 82. I have another I call him my edge guy. He's outside linebacker D end. He's listed as a left end. He plays at left outside linebacker in 34. I want to say he's an 80.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like it's working out well, for sure. I mean, you've got one of the best defenses in MSR, from what I can tell.
Thank you. I try. I work hard.
So when you're doing your defensive setups, I mean, you have some players that are more pass heavy and some players are more run heavy, and you take that into account. But what are you more worried about when you sit down and play against an opponent? Like, what's the most important thing for you to make sure you stop right off the bat?
I think it's in my opinion, stopping the run. Obviously, if you've got a guy that's good at both, which is very rare. I'll be honest. There's very, very few guys that are good at both. I would say right now in the league, you've got Kylo's good at both. Conda's pretty good at both. I think J-Rod could be good at both, but he chooses to have a passing offense. The majority, and I'm sure I'm missing a couple guys without going through the list and off every single one of them, but the majority of the guys are either really good at one thing, average at the other, or vice versa. So if I'm playing a guy that I know is really good at running the ball, I'm making sure I set my team up, stop the run, and force him to pass. I know a guy that is not going to run the ball, and he's going to try to, for example, like Rod, who's going to throw it 40 times a game. I'm less concerned with how I'm setting it, like him running out of 3 wide receivers or 4 wide. I'm less concerned with him running. Is he going to do it? Yeah. And might he gash me for 5 to 8 yards? Sure. But I would rather take my chances knowing my team is set up to stop the pass, which is going to be 40 attempts a game, and really stress and worry about those couple runs he's going to hit me with for 5 to 10 yards.
Absolutely makes sense.
I think one thing that's important too is you're looking at is someone's offensive line and their defensive line. So, Joey Vowels is a left end. He's usually on the left side. But if I look at somebody's team, I notice that their best blocker is like a 90 overall right tackle. I'm probably going to move Bosa from left end. That's the honest truth. I might put him on the right side. And it's the same thing with your offensive line. If your best blocker is your left tackle, somebody for example, Wakanda has Yannick Ngakoue, and he's always rushing off the left side. If my left tackle is my best pass blocker, why am I going to leave him on the left side of the field by himself? Block somebody with no abilities. I'm going to move him to the right side, match up with Ngakoue. So it's important too, offensively and defensively. Don't be afraid to move guys in the rules, of course. Create either an advantage for yourself, offensively or defensively.
Yeah, that's a smart play. I know I've moved my defensive guys around a few times, but I've never thought about actually moving my offensive guys around the line to try to protect.
But, I mean, if somebody's got a defensive tackle, always lines up over the right guard, and your left guard is clearly better than your right guard, why not swap them for the game?
Makes great sense to me. I'm about to look into double checking that tonight before my my showdown game. So when you're looking at your defensive players, I guess specifically the defensive line or your edge players, are there a certain style of player you're looking for in those positions, or do you just straight look at their stats?
So, like I said, in base formations, my edge players are high block shed, as high of block shed and as high of pursuit as I can get. Those edge guys. That's when I'm in base. So if that's 34, 4-3, that's what I'm looking for. My middle linebackers are in 34. I'm less concerned with block shed. It's important. I'm less concerned with block shed for them and more concerned with high pursuit and recognition, because I don't want them to just get stuck in the middle of the field not knowing what to do. So if an offensive lineman is going to get to my middle linebacker at the center, more than likely it's going to be a good run. So the block shed is important. It's less important because if I can keep you between the tackles, I know somebody can make a play, whether it's the safety coming down, the other middle linebacker, or an outside linebacker crashing. My concern is not letting somebody get on the outside, because if I don't get any block shed on the edge, you get to the edge. Let's say your wide receiver blocks that corner. It's basically my user safety versus you and your halfback. If you have abilities, box, and human joystick, armbar, bulldozer, you're probably going to beat me. Maybe not for a touchdown, just because of the way I play defense. You're probably going to beat me for a big play. I don't want people getting on the edge. I want to force them up the middle. So for me, it's the pursuit, recognition for middle linebackers, and it's the pursuit and block shed, the edge.
Yeah, that does make sense, because you definitely the attributes, I think, are more important than what actually placed are, even though they're overall are. I feel like sometimes there's like a hidden, like, just because they're overall high doesn't mean they have the best attributes that you're actually looking for all the time.
Yeah, I mean, their overall is typically determined by their awareness. That affects overall rating the most. Like I said, you got a guy like Joey Bosa, who at launch was like an 80, 88, and he had abilities. His move was high. I think he even had some power move. His block shed was really low. I had to work all cycle, get his block shed up, make him least formidable in the run, because again, finesse move does nothing the running game. He got a 99 finesse move, but his block shed is 65. And that's why when I look at guys that I'm not a big outside linebacker abilities person. I don't think outside linebacker, like pass rushing outside linebackers, are the answer. I think defensive end pass rushers are, because they typically have higher block shed, so they could also play the run. If I see somebody who has pass rushing outside linebackers and they're more than likely have a lower block shed, I'm running the ball right at that guy. Guys like Justin Hollins, Denver, when he was in Denver, I would run the ball right at him, because I know he's a pass rusher, run stopper. So it's important to also understand when you're attacking a defense where you can attack it. Don't run away from superstars and X factors. Look at what they're good at. If they don't have high block shed, run the ball right at them, because those pass rushing abilities do nothing to stop the run.
Absolutely. That is quite informative. Like, I'm definitely going to be using that from here on out. So if you see me with some better defensive stats, it's definitely for you, buddy.
No problem.
So this next part here is something new that I'm going to try on the podcast. And basically, it's like a word association. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to list either a name or a phrase of something to do with NFL, Madden, or just the MSR in general. And I just want you to tell me the first thing that pops off your head when I list these things. Is that all right?
Okay.
All right, here we go. First thing, the MSR.
Unity.
All right, that sounds about right. The NFL.
Oh.
You actually kind of broke up there on that one. What was that?
Football.
Yeah, that's true.
Couldn't really think of anything clever. I was like, what's the first thing that comes into my head? And the first thing literally was football.
That's right. I can't wait for it to be back.
Yeah.
Timbo.
Peter.
Lenny. Gone. The running game.
P.
I agree on that one. Sim style.
Bullshit.
Genesis.
Fun.
Abilities.
Trash.
I agree with you there. I think Madden would be so much better this year without the abilities. Sunny.
Statistician.
Falco.
Bad.
Podcast.
At Madden. At Madden. Bad at Madden.
Bad at Madden. I couldn't believe that there was going to be a worse user take off the Colts, but what in the world happened?
No, and that's not fair because Falco's a great guy and he's like an incredible addition to the league with what he does with New Dawn podcasts and how he helps other people with their podcasts. Like, I love Falco. Falco is has probably been one of the best additions he's ever had. But whenever I think of him, I just think of bad Madden. Like, I just do.
Poor guy. Although I watched his game the other day on Showdown and he was putting up some points, man. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think and I've talked to him about it. He's one of those guys where, and I keep telling everybody, right, like it's the KISS strategy. And that's what I moved to last year. Just keep it simple, stupid. And I feel like if you have a running back like Nyheim Hines, you should be running the ball 25 times and, short passes under 10 yards and play defense. I think he gets in his own head where he wants to throw the ball and be exciting and Paris Campbell. And next thing you know, he throws interceptions. And I mean, I had a year of like 40 plus interceptions. I can't remember the last time I threw that many interceptions. I was trying to be somebody I wasn't. I don't think Falco's bad. I think he has the potential to win. When I watch him play, I see bad Madden.
I hear that. Rhino.
That's.
I knew that was going to be a tough one. We can skip that one.
No. I'm gonna go with. Moments. Has his moments. Some days I think he's great. Some days, don't. As a whole, people like to have an opinion of me, but as a whole, like I don't hate anybody. I like everybody, no matter what happens, no matter what gets said. Like, this is, at the end of the day, this is all just a video game to me, and things have been said. But at the end of the day, I'll be honest. If Rhino called me up and said I need help, anybody in this league called me up and said I need help, I need $100 to put my power on, I need whatever, I would do it. That's who I am. But I definitely think he has his moments where I'm just like, what the
I think we all do.
We all do. Yeah, we all do.
Defense.
Love it.
Ura.
I'm going to go with the same thing I said for Rhino. Moments.
Yeah. Here's a good friend of yours, Jay Wood.
Did you say Jay Wood?
Jay Wood.
Immature.
Warzone.
I'm going to go with fun again.
Yeah, I've had some fun recently on that too.
Love it. I love Warzone.
J-Rod.
Rivalry.
A good rivalry, I think.
I think it was said the other day in the MSR chat that like our relationship has changed from before, where it used to be very toxic and very negative, where now there's more of a respect factor. And I've said it. I attributed last season to J-Rod. I didn't allow his constant winning. I mean, he won whatever it was, 7 straight division titles. I didn't allow it to beat me down. I allowed it to make me better. I wanted to figure out what I can do to beat him. How can I win this division? He literally brought the best out of me last season.
And it showed for sure. And last but not least, Taco.
Character.
He is a character. I can't figure this guy out. I don't know if he's a 95-year-old man that's the smartest NFL person I've ever met, or a 15-year-old kid that just has all the time in the world on his hand. I don't get it.
I don't know him, obviously, but I feel like Taco's one of those. I think Taco's young. I don't know how young, right? I would imagine, I've been around since Madden 18, so we're going on almost 3 years. So I would imagine by this point, he's got to be at least 17, 18, 19, right? I think he's somewhere in that range. I think he's just one of those kids that there's nothing wrong with this, because I know a lot of people like this. He's not a big social guy. He prefers to be home. And I think his comfort, like his his comfort, social, protective bubble is right, the statistics. It's the history. It's the knowledge. And some people, that's just their thing. Other people want to be at the bar every night. I think Taco's social thing is his history, statistics, intrigues him. He loves the history of the sport. But I think if my guess would be, he's probably 21 and under, what my guess would be.
Yeah, I feel like he's young, but then, the history stuff that he brings up, I'm like, man, what is that? And I had to go look it up. How does this supposedly young person know all this? But, I mean, it's pretty impressive either way.
I think he's in a lot of groups. I think a lot of the stuff he gets from Facebook, he's in a lot of groups on Facebook, NFL groups or sports history. And he's in these groups and people are posting these memes or these stats and he finds them intriguing and he shares them with us. And listen, I'll be the first to admit, I've learned a ton of stuff from the things Taco has posted. Some of it is stupid. I think he posts it just, and he admits it. He's like, it's dumb. Like, Taco, this is stupid. Like, yeah, you're right. But I just figured I'd repost what people say.
He gets people talking no matter what, though, and that's great for MSR in general. So
I agree. I think sometimes it's a nice distraction from the girlish banter that happens. Taco drops in a statistics and it changes the subject.
Absolutely. Well, man, this has been great. I've learned a lot about defense in general, which I'm going to have about 20 minutes to try to see if I can figure something out before me and Wakanda have a shootout again. But I do appreciate you coming on the cast today and learning us up a little bit.
Of course. Appreciate you having me.
Hey, no problem. Well, hey, before we go, you're high on the team selection list this year. Which team are you leaning towards?
Well, as much as I hate abilities and I think they're trash, I think it's important to consider selecting a team certain things, right? Like I mentioned about pass rush. If you don't have a pass rush, a DN with abilities, pass rush, you're in trouble. If the game is at all like Madden 20, developing halfbacks and wide receivers should be easy. Developing quarterbacks will be hard. Developing defensive players will be hard. So I think for me, being a defensive guy, it's going to be important to pick a team that has some abilities on defense that fit what I like to do. But with that being said, Miami's on the top of my list, and they really don't have much out. But they do have two really good corners, which is very intriguing because that can maybe push the defensive line to get abilities because I'll get coverage sacks with Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, and they have a lot of young talent. They got draft picks. They got a quarterback for the cycle. They traded for Matt Breida. So Miami's intriguing. Depending on who goes in front of me, Arizona is also intriguing. There's a few teams. Some people have said San Francisco because they think their defense fits style, but I'm concerned with some of the age on that team. It's really going to salary cap, draft picks. It's a lot, but I think right now my top teams are probably Miami and doubt Arizona falls to me because I think Lil Bear is going to be above me, so he's going to take Arizona. I mean, Washington's intriguing. It's another intriguing team. They have a lot of talent, and that's young. Tampa Bay's intriguing. I mean, you got to replace Tom Brady, but there's always usually quarterbacks in Madden draft the first few seasons, but the rest of that team is really young. I don't know. Miami's been at the top of my list for a while. Even Green Bay sounds intriguing because you got Jordan Love as Aaron Rodgers regresses to play quarterbacks. That gives you a quarterback for the cycle. They've got a lot of young talent that they drafted last year and this year. So,
yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. Although for some reason, when I picture Joey Vowels, I always see an AFC team. I don't know why.
But I had the Falcons all of Madden 19.
You did. I remember that, but just I don't know. For some reason, I picture Chargers and whatever else. I'm not sure. But
I had the 49ers in Madden 18.
Did you take them over? I think I had them originally in 18, and then when I left.
I'm pretty sure I had the Niners, and because I was in the AFC West. I mean, the NFC West. I'm pretty sure I had the Niners. I didn't have the Seahawks. That was Philip.
Yeah, I remember that.
Philip, we got 49ers. I definitely didn't have the Cardinals. And Seahawks, Cardinals, 49ers. Who am I missing? Oh, Rams. I definitely didn't. No, I didn't have the Rams. Yeah, I definitely had the 49ers.
Yeah, wow. Learn something new every day. Well, either way, brother, I appreciate you coming on the cast, and good luck this year. I know you guys just started your season, so make it back to the bowl and win it this time.
Okay, I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna do my best. I will. I'm gonna fight my way back to the playoffs again to prove last season wasn't a fluke.
All right, brother. Thank you again. Have a good night.
Thank you, buddy. Have a good night.
And that's going to wrap up episode 2. Thank you for listening to The Question. I'm your host, Kolb. Join us next time when we talk about the controversial issues of the running game and how OP is it. Thanks again. See you next time.